Everyone found something to cheer about. The best ever result achieved by Labour from a third position, said the party's deputy leader John Prescott. The first stirrings of political recovery, according to the Tory party chairman. It means the government has a majority in single figures for the first time since the Tories came to power in 1979. The Liberal Democrats overturned a Conservative majority of 4,500, beating Labour into second place. The Conservative candidate was pushed into third place. The share of the vote looked like this, with just 5% separating the top two. More significant is the change from the 1992 result. Labour achieved a 14% swing, far more than the Liberal Democrats' 3% margin. Our political correspondent, Jeremy Vine, is in the constituency.
Thank you very much indeed, Ed. This constituency is not just a dream for hitchhikers and tourists, it's also provided pundits and pollsters with precisely the kind of Lib Dem Labour standoff they've been wanting to see since the election of Tony Blair as Labour leader.
I declare that Chris Davis has been duly elected.
From the Liberal Democrats' point of view, the result was either a narrow escape from a Labour surge that could play havoc with their strategy in other seats, or simply a magnificent victory for their man.
The people of this constituency have spoken for Britain. They have reduced the Conservative majority in the House of Commons to single figures for the first time in 16 years.
You could almost see the political calculations going on in his head as he looked on quietly. Peter Mandelson had organised the extremely aggressive, often negative Labour campaign here. The key by-election question of how close Labour could push the Liberal Democrats in an area not naturally theirs was answered, they said, to their satisfaction.
This result proves, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that New Labour can win votes from all parties in all parts of the country. There are no no-go areas for New Labour.
Rubbish!
The heckling reflected Tory disappointment at getting one vote in four, thus answering the second question of the by-election. What was the measure of core Conservative support? This morning the figure was being billed as a good result against the odds.
The bogus opinion polls, the media all said were blown out of the water. We hadn't a chance. It was going to be a Liberal Democrat landslide. None of these things happened, and our vote stayed firm.
It is the Liberal Democrats' day. Mr Ashdown's 7th birthday, in fact, as party leader, and the 7th by-election win in that time.
Britain today has the largest and most powerful single Liberal force in British politics that we've had for 60 years, and probably more.
They felt during the campaign they were victims of media excitement at the idea of Mr Blair's bandwagon overtaking them, though they probably made a strategic error in not confronting Labour early enough. Well, I'm joined here on this hillside by Peter Mandelson from the Labour Party. Paddy Ashdown says you threw everything at him, including the kitchen sink and the dustbin. Did you get these techniques from America, or do they just come naturally?
No, certainly not. And I think that what Paddy Ashdown is doing is pointing an accusing finger at Labour, as much as anything, to conceal some of the activities that the Liberal Democrats themselves got up to during this campaign, but also to distract from what is relatively a rather poor performance by the Liberal Democrats. But just to refute the main point, there is nothing that we said or did or challenged the Liberal Democrat with that was not based on fact. We simply asked him to justify his policies and ideas, and I'm sorry that came as quite such a shock to the Liberal Democrats.
But in an interview this week, Mr Blair, your leader, has called for cooperation, more cooperation between Labour and the Liberal Democrats. How can you have that in this atmosphere?
Well, I think that cooperation will go on, and inevitably the two party leaders speak to each other from time to time, and there must be a dialogue about ideas and policies, because we have one central goal, the both of us, which is to remove the Tory government at the next election. But at the same time, we must be mature and realistic. There is a competition for votes, and from time to time in by-elections like this, we will be at loggerheads.
But after throwing so much into this by-election, if you come up against another seat that looks rather like this, the deduction here must be, OK, you can come close, but you still can't win.
Well, the important facts are, Jeremy, that Labour's vote went up 40% on our 92 performance. The Liberal Democrats' vote fell by 16%. And on a swing from Conservative to Labour, as we've had here, of 17%, we are set to pick up seats right across the northwest and the country and form a very large majority government after the next general election.
Peter Mandelson, thank you very much indeed. And with that, back to you, Ed.
Thanks, Jeremy.